Hey guys, this is AJ with Oceans Books and Stuff, and today I am going to be reviewing Little Heaven by Nick Cutter. So Little Heaven is the first book that I've read by Nick Cutter. He is an author that I have been extremely interested in since I've read some critic opinions on his other books, The Troop and The Deep. They're both books that have been highly acclaimed, and it's just something that I felt super lucky that I ended up getting this book, which is his most recent in a book subscription box. One of the biggest reasons why I wanted to read this book and save it for the end of 2018 was just because of how aesthetically pleasing it was on the inside. There are actually illustrations on there, and how like different parts of the stories, how they're presented. It's very neat. And I briefly looked into it. A lot of vibes that people were getting is like it's like a mix between Lovecraft and Stephen King. It's taken back in like the 80s, the 60s, and just the writing style is like it could be like compared to some of King's best, which a lot of people feel like did happen in the 80s. So the story revolves around three different bounty hunters who do happen to meet each other by a certain situation that it's pretty interesting. They're all hired by the same person to actually pretty much kill each other. In this shootout, they are hospitalized. They do move forward. They kind of come to an agreement of what they want to do, and they don't necessarily become friends, but they are not necessarily pitted against each other anymore. These three characters are one, Micah Shugru, two, Minerva Atwater, and three, Ebenezer Atkins. These three, even though they are in the same business of bounty hunting, they're all completely different characters. That's something that I really enjoyed from Nick Cutter. He made all of his characters feel extremely different. Micah being like the silent mercenary type, Ebenezer being the loudmouth Englishman who's very sarcastic, very dry humor, and Minnie, the only female of the group, she you could tell throughout the whole entire story that she just has this inner conflict of why she is like the way she is throughout the whole entire story. So the story is set up at the beginning. We find that Micah's daughter has been abducted by this creature. This creature is humanoid. This tall, gangly beast that actually takes these children. It seduces them with like this weird music that it plays, and so it does take the daughter. When we're introduced to these different three main characters, it's pretty cool because even though that Micah is like the quiet, like loner kind of mercenary, it's cool because when he's first introduced, he actually goes like guns blazing on this beast, and he's just like, oh no, like not again. So when the daughter is abducted, we go into the backstory of these three main characters and how they did meet. After their business is all said and done, they're all kind of on good terms now, where they could start talking to each other rather than trying to kill each other. They do meet Ellen Belhaven. Ellen is related to another mercenary who has been imprisoned, and so now that this person, her family member, has been imprisoned, her nephew, who she really loves, they haven't really met. The nephew is actually taken with the father now that the mom is now in jail. She does meet up with Micah, and she's trying to hire him. She's just like, I just want to go to Little Heaven, the title of the book. Little Heaven is a compound. This is where the nephew is out with the father. We learned that Little Heaven is just like a little haven to where our main antagonist, Amos Flesher, is in charge of. He has very much a dark and graphic backstory that does play out through the whole entire book. He introduces and he meets up with these different people who are very weak-spirited, very much not in their own mind. They're not stable. None of them are stable, which is when he does form Little Heaven. We learned that Amos Fletcher is actually not being controlled, but more being influenced by the same entity that has taken Micah's daughter. So as the story progresses, they actually get to Little Heaven, and that's when a whole lot of dark stuff starts happening. And the focus of the story is what's going on. So like children are being abducted, children are being taken into the woods, and we slowly learn like the not so much the backstory, but more of how these creatures and monsters come into play, because we learn that there's a whole lot of stuff that's happening at this compound. The things that I really liked about the story, it was very, very well written. You could tell that Nick Cutter has been doing this for a while. I believe that's a pseudonym, and he's probably written a whole lot of other stuff, but I really respected how, even though he's influenced by Stephen King, by H.P. Lovecraft, all these different authors, and it's just a mixture of like horror, sci-fi, all these different genres combined into one. There's even like a Western feel to it, because again, like this story takes place in the 60s and 80s, and all these different characters meeting up. It's just, it never felt cliched, it never felt like he was copying, and it never felt like he was doing what his favorite authors did. He did his own different take on it, and it just felt very original, very fresh, and I just highly enjoyed it. One of my favorite characters was Ebenezer. He just so funny, even though that the story can be really dark at times. Whenever he's in it, there's just times where you just like want to like laugh or chuckle out loud. He just really brought depth. So even though our three main characters do all feel like different archetypes, and you would say that Micah is more of like the main guy, his character was really interesting. His backstory was really good, and even though the story focuses on his daughter being abducted, and them trying to save the daughter, and him being more of the catalyst of making the whole group go to Little Heaven back in the 60s, and what we learned, what they went through, and like the traumatic experiences that they went through, he still felt a little boring. So when I said like Ebenezer was my favorite character, he's just very colorful. Like the way he talks, it's very like olden style, where the way it's very humorous. He is very much an exaggerated form of like the English stereotype, and he blatantly like says something along the lines of that in the story. As to where Micah, he more felt like he kind of spoke the same exact way that Eb spoke, but it didn't feel natural. Like when it's something to where if you were to see it on a TV screen, it'd just be like, we have to change this up to the point to where it's going to be better for the movie or the TV series or whatever. It didn't feel right when I was reading it on the page. Minnie really threw a different dynamic in the three different characters. She being the only female in it. A lot of her backstory was very interesting, and her motives of when you learn reasons as to like maybe why she was never trusting of the other two. She has like a main conflict with Ebenezer that goes throughout the whole entire story. Just the whole dynamic between the three different characters, it always felt super interesting. Now with the writing, it was extremely engaging throughout the whole entire story. Beat by beat, I really wanted to read a lot of it at one time. More at the beginning of the story, I took it in like smaller, shorter parts, to where maybe I read maybe like 10-15 minutes, as to where as a halfway mark, and where it started to like ramp up in like the intensity of the story. That's when I started to read like longer sections, maybe like an hour, 2 hours, and it's something to where it was a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is I never saw that I was bored with the story. Even though one of the characters was slightly boring, I always wanted to find out what was going to happen next. Like even like the with the villain, the antagonist, he just super creepy. Just a creepy guy that felt extremely real. I'm going to go back to that a little bit towards the end. When the story would progress, like very fast paced, my thing is a part of me felt like I wasn't enjoying it as much as I could be enjoying it. on this the aspect of star ratings. A part of me felt like it was really going to be like a 4 out of 5. It just felt like, since this was the last book of 2018 that I was reading, that I kind of just had to get it over and done with, kind of rush through it, and that was more my fault. It never felt like the book was intentionally making me feel like I had to read it really fast and not enjoy it, like getting into it. Another reason why I really like the book is just how much the art added on to the story. That was one reason. Another reason why I really wanted to read this book in particular and save it for the end is just because I really feel like not a lot of authors anymore. They don't collaborate with artists to put artwork into their books, and this one, it was really awesome. With how detailed the writing could get, it could get really gruesome at times. There are actually illustrations in there that portray like the writing and how graphic it could get. That is one thing that I know will turn off a lot of readers, is just how graphic it could get. It is very, very violent. It's violent to the point to where even I would feel like, it's kind of disgusting, to the point of like, if I wanted to like explain it to Courtney, certain scenes, it's not, it doesn't feel like the writer does it to gross people out or to make them, he's not doing it just to like glorify violence. It pertains to the story. It never felt like he was doing it just to do it. Even though there was a lot of graphic violence, there was also a lot of like sexually graphic scenes. Not so much with like sex scenes or anything, but more of just like with certain people's pasts. And I know that will be kind of like a trigger to some people, but honestly, again, it all pertains to the story, and I think it was really well done and not in poor taste. By the end of it, I highly enjoyed it. The ending was super on point with the setup. It never felt like a cop-out and didn't feel cliche at all. It was just interesting from beginning to end. Now, without going into too many spoilers, one thing that I found creepy, and this is what actually intensified my thoughts of the book, is realizing that the antagonist is actually based off of somebody in real life. If you guys do end up reading this book, it's just, since this is an exaggeration, not based on real events or anything, Amos Fletcher is, you can see, I know like a lot of documentaries are coming out to where you could see how crazy people can get in real life, and just thinking, and it makes me think of mine and Courtney's review of Suffer the Children, of like this simple vampire story, but it was like the realistic parts that made it like extremely scary. And there were parts in this where I was like, you know what, this pushing aside like the monster stuff, I was like, stuff like this can like really happen. Like, there are cults out there, there are crazy people, and they're just, it made me feel very uneasy. This was actually another book that did end up giving me quite a lot of nightmares at the end of it. Rating wise, I would, like I said, it was something to where I felt like I was going to give it a 4 out of 5, but at the end of the day, at the end of the book, I was like, you know what, if I don't give this a 5 stars out of 5, I would feel like I'd be cheating myself, because I highly enjoyed it, and I really recommend that every one of you guys, if you guys do like the horror novel genre, you should really look into this. It's a really good thriller. So there you guys have it. Those are some of the thoughts that I have on Little Heaven. I really do hope that you guys enjoy this video, and that you guys go and support this book, because it is something to where I highly enjoyed, and I know that you guys will enjoy it too. So thanks so much for watching this, and have a great day.